Well, welcome to day 18 of the 31-day challenge. Can you believe it? 18 days. I am almost... Damn, this month's almost done. Today we are doing a grandfather clock. Now, I don't... these next couple 3 days I'm basically doing stuff that's in my house. I don't have a grandfather clock in my house, but one of my... commenters was he's like, oh, I'd love to see a grandfather clock in a garden. Now, I don't have time to do a full-on grandfather clock in a garden, but I figure I would take this time to actually start to learn how to draw a grandfather clock, and then maybe in the future I will do a drawing of a grandfather clock in the garden on one of my little art journal type of things. And so, today we'll figure out how to do a grandfather clock. And this house actually did have a grandfather clock in it. My grandmother, she used to love to go on cruises and go on vacation to like Sweden and what's some of those places up there? Sweden and Norway and that type of stuff. And she'd always come back with, or Holland, she'd come back with all the little trinkets, little Holland, little dolls and the little wooden shoes, and she also came back with a grandfather clock. And so when I was a kid, I used to come over here, and for the first hour or so, the grandfather clock is really awesome. The ding 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 ding. And every 15 minutes you'd have a chime. You have the first time it chimed, you'd go ding 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 ding. And then the next 15 minutes go ding, 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 ding. And the third one would be ding, 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 and so on. Until you get then the main hour and be good ding, 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 ding. And then you get the bong. And so this is the type of grandfather. It was a simple grandfather clock. It just had the nice little, the weights and stuff, and the tick tock right in the center with the golden clock hand in the top, and it almost looked like a bookshelf type of thing. But so that's what we're going to be drawing today, and hopefully I will go and get a picture of this downloaded onto my phone, and then put it onto my editing system. So Holly, remember to download the thing so you can put it up there so that people can see what you're drawing. But so today we're just going to do a grandfather clock, a standalone grandfather clock, and it will be I need to zoom in on this because that is okay, hold on, this should be in my, can I zoom in on that? Come on, where's my files? Holly, edit this part out. Screenshots. There we go. Open. There we go. Make that full size so I can see. Basically narrow. All right, I'm probably just going to do this in black and white because I don't really have a cool looking brown color to do this justice. So maybe later on I'll do one with the brown and stuff. But there's a lot of detail in this, so I'm just going to do this kind of simple. I'm not going to do all the filigree, is that the word? On this, because they're really intricate. Blech. I'll have to go to like a furniture store and actually get some pictures of some grandfather clocks when I do it myself, because that is actually kind of a cool idea to do hand drawing, a very detailed hand drawing of a grandfather clock. But right now we're just going to do a straight up black and white ink drawing of a grandfather clock. I'm gonna try to do this straight up, just ink. Actually, where do I have my pen? Do I have a pen? I might just do this pen instead of pencil. I've got paintbrush. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Do I have a pen? Pen? Nope. Pen? Nope. I've got pens. They're colored pens. Just a straight up ink pen. A straight up ink pen. Yeah. I'll just use a Sharpie pen. But with this paper, it might actually bleed. That's the only reason why I was looking for a pen. Actually, I think I have one in the kitchen. I'll go and get it, and then we'll come back here. So let's get started, and we will do this grandfather clock, and I'm just going to do it freehand, straight up pen. And we'll see if they can do this without messing up too much. All right, let's get back. Okay, let's just do this, I got my pen. This is from a tax trio out here in Utah. If you're looking for some good tax people, they are good. Let's move this over just a hair. Now, since I'm doing this with just straight up pen, I'm going to try to get the dimensions. As I try to figure out the dimensions of this clock, I am actually going to be using kind of a dot method where I'm just kind of outlining it in dots. That way when I start filling in it, I can kind of do a sketchy style or a rough sketchy style type of drawing. That way you can kind of see what it's going to look like before you actually draw without actually having the permanence of a straight line. Especially since I am drawing in ink and not in pencil and I cannot erase. First I'll get the dimensions of the bottom, the width of the clock. I actually adjust the width so it make it a little bit wider on the bottom, which helps me. I'm using my pen to kind of get a better idea of where the midpoint of the bottom part is, where it kind of bends out a little bit. Once I get the width of the bottom and it looks about right, then I move on to the top so I can make sure I'm getting it straight and approximately how high I want it. I'll get kind of the bottom part of the top of the clock and then kind of add in the extra parts, which is the more the filigree and the arch of the clock. Then I'll add them kind of last. Just give myself enough room of a gap so I can add it in after the fact. Once I get the width down and I have an idea of where the shape is and the dimensions and the three-dimensional part of it, I start adding in the rest of the details, and I'm still using the dot method. So I'm just kind of doing some rough dots at outlining this thing. I do the same thing if I'm doing animals or people or any other things. I just kind of do the rough outline of the animal. Just so I know where the top of the head it is, the bottom of the head, and any type of object you might be doing. You just kind of work, the top, the bottom, and then pick a centerpiece area and work your way out. This clock actually looks very difficult, but really it's just a bunch of straight lines. So once you get the shape and the outline of it, it's very simple to fill in the rest. Like here I am filling in the little design of the wood on the bottom and the top, and then I'll be adding in the extra lines in between. I'll just use a ruler to make sure I have them somewhat straight. Once I have the decorations, I start kind of working my way inward, getting the glass and the clock face as well. That way I can kind of get an idea of the top portion and how much space I need from the top where the main clock is to the bottom part and where the pendulum is. Now, since these challenges are slightly smaller, I kind of made my clock thicker and chunkier, and so it's a little less tall and skinny like you see in the picture. But that's fine, it still works out and it looks like a chunky clock by the end. So once you get the rough sketch in, you can actually almost see the clock just in the sketch itself. And then so once you got the top and the bottom, the basics of that, you can kind of move into the rest of the clock once you've kind of segmented it out. Words. Lovely. I hope you're enjoying this new sound. I just bought me a gaming mic and I'm trying it out for the first time, so let me know how you like it. The first part is actually off of my phone or my headsets, and this part is actually a voiceover. And so I'm testing out this new mic, which is like $45 on Amazon. If you're looking for a mic, let me know and I'll make sure I put a little link or description what it is. It is called Fiffin. Is like $45, so if you're looking for a mic, it's a good affordable one, and so far it's sounding pretty good. I'm looking forward to testing it on my phone because I just realized it actually has a plug. It can plug into my phone, so hopefully it will work. So getting back to the video.
Now that I kind of have a basic outline, I can start filling in a little bit more of the detail, and you can do as detailed as you want. You can get extremely detailed doing this, or you can just kind of do a rough, messy sketch, and it still turns out really, really nice. Start putting in the glass or the outline of that. And of course, I almost forgot to put the top part in. And I was like going across. I'm like, oh, oops. I need to have the arch in there. And the arch is a little bit bigger than I had originally planned. I should have made the square itself a little bit larger, and or make the arch a little bit smaller and just bring it up. But since I had the little round decorative things on the side, which is kind of lined up with the square part of the clock itself, it looks a little odd. But I could probably have made the arch slightly smaller and gave myself more room for the design on top of it. But when you start doing it and you're doing it in Pynn, a lot of times you don't really realize this, and by that time it's too late. As you go, you kind of learn what to fill in and what not to. I should have just left that arch as a rough dot. That way I can put in the extra design on the top first and then do the arch. That way I know how much room I need and I can space it a little better. This style of sketching is great for like small little books and stuff if you're just trying to learn how to do stuff. If you have a picture with you, or if you're like in a diner or at home and just have some sort of object that you can look at, just doing the dots type of style and doing a rough quick sketch like this, it's a great way to practice, and you can get as much detail or less as you want. And once you get then the scratchy parts in there, especially if you're doing these long lines like I'm doing here, a lot of times I just kind of do thicker lines and then just kind of fill it in between, or else I'll use the ruler and then just kind of long dashes, and then just come back and roughly connect them. That way if you use a ruler and have a straight part, it's very noticeable. So if you're going to use a ruler or a straight edge anywhere, do the dot slipe type of method, but come back and fill it in so it still has that messy feel, and you don't have like messy, messy, straight, perfect. Messy, messy, straight, perfect. It looks really odd. So if you're doing a straight and you want to keep those lines pretty much straight but still have the same feel of the rest of the picture, just kind of do dashes or dots going up there, and then just kind of come back and connect them. Right here I'm just adding a little extra depth. This is like where it kind of connects, and you can see the almost a full black line there where the door actually opens. So I just kind of fill in a little bit of that sketchiness to give it that extra shadow right there, so it kind of, you can tell, hey, oh, that's where the door opens. I'm also trying to keep in mind of the direction of the shadows, so I'll look at the picture itself and see if there's a shadow on any type of thing. This one looks like it's a professional picture, so there's not a whole lot of shadow on it. So you use the door hinges where there's really dark, and the connecting. So sometimes I'll just pretend the right side is always the dark side, like where it kind of is the three-dimensional section, and just add in a little bit more dark shadows where there's like an overlap or a gap, and then that kind of gives it a little more dimension. Over here on the bottom, I'm adding that little texture that's at the bottom of the clock before I start adding the bottom legs. And it just gives it more character. And like I said, it just kind of make it a rough type of texture. That way it just gives the imitation of detail when really there's not a whole lot of detail in it. It's just a bunch of extra pen strokes. And this thing looks like it's very complicated, but like I said before, it's really not. Once you just break it up into chunks, the top part, the middle part, and the bottom part. And you don't need to do over detail in one section at a time. As you can see, I'm just working on like the left side, got a little bit of the main clock in there, the gap in the center. I didn't really do any filling in. Did a little more of the detail on the bottom. Then I'll work my way back up. So you can actually just bounce around. Also here, I'm noticing that it's a glass on the back and the side, and so I'm adding in a little bit of detail there, so you can kind of, when I do add in the pendulum, I have a little bit of space, so I'm actually kind of adding in the back portion of the clock where you can see it through, and trying to leave enough gaps so when the pendulum comes in there, it can go over the lines and it just doesn't, it looks like it's in front of it and not behind it. Now to add the other details on the other side to kind of match the left side of the clock. It's actually the right side of the clock, but staring at it from this part, it's the left side. I'm going to say it's the left side. If you don't like it, well, go watch something else. Dang it, if it bugs the way I speak, oh my goodness gracious, if it bugs the way I speech, I swear, the way I speech bugs the speech out of me too. You ever just start speaking and then your mouth just kind of runs away, and half the time don't know half the stuff that's coming out of your mouth? No, I don't have that problem at all. I just, curious, asking for a friend. Okay, back to the drawing. Now we're going to be adding in the weights for the pendulum. There's a certain thing that happens when the clock pendulum swings. Those things, I don't know. If you know anything about the grandfather clocks, I would love to know how those weights and stuff work. I know there's a reason why they have it in there. I'm assuming it has something to do with the pendulum. I haven't really sat down to watch a clock really work, so it's kind of a mystery. All I know is it's very pretty. Now this pendulum, is that the word? Has a lot of detail right in the center, but it's hard to see it, so I just do a lot of dots and then just kind of add in the little crown, or it almost looks like a what the heck do you call it? The music holder thing that you'd see in an orchestra. I know there's a word for it. Probably a paper holder, fancy music thing. I don't know what it's called. If you know what it's called, put it in the comments. You know what I'm like, the orchestra, they put the music on it, you read it, you flip the music, and a lot of times it's very fancy. A pendulum? No, that's the thing that's I'm drawing. The podium. I think it's a type of podium. I don't know. I'm sure there's a word for it. I don't know. I don't really know much about music, so I'm just rambling. See all the pretty stuff I'm drawing? Back to the drawing. Okay, let's just add in some of the side. And it's pretty much basic. It's just pretty much a piece of wood, and then just adding in the extra, making it look a little more rounded. So just curving it over to give an illusion of a rounded over edge type of thing. You could just do a square if you want. And now I'm doing the kind of the dot slash dash type of method, and then just filling it in so it still looks very sketchy, because you don't want straight lines if you're doing a messy style sketch. If you want to do straight lines, you can. That means you need to start with the ruler the whole time. And you probably want to start with a pencil. It'd make it a lot easier. Also, not wanting to forget to put in the glass on the side so you can kind of tell that it is a clear side. Also adding a little bit of diagonal lines to kind of show that this is glass. If you just do different angles of lines, it gives a completely different look. So if you're doing something that's mostly straight up and down and you add the shadows in a different direction, it really helps emphasize what you're drawing. So play around with the marks in different directions. Like if you're doing some stuff on the side where it is darker, change the direction and see if that looks good. And same with trees and stuff. If you have a limb, you can do the shadowing in a curve instead of a straight line to kind of give it the look of a curve as well. So just play around with your lines as you go and just see what looks good, and watch some videos on shading and ink and that type of stuff. That's kind of how I learned, was just watching videos and on ink and just whatever type of style of art you're doing, just watch a couple videos. Even some of the shorts will give you good ideas. So, don't always go for the long form videos. Sometimes you can get a lot of information in some of those shorts just by actually, instead of just watching him and having him be pleasing, but actually watching what the artist is doing. You get a lot of information. Now that we pretty much got the clock done, we're just adding in details, a little extra definition of, where the clock connects to give a little extra shading and stuff, and adding in some of the extra designs, like the little, I don't know if it almost looked like an acorn with some leaves going off the side. It was, the picture when I was looking at it was kind of small to begin with, and in here it's even hard to see as well. But you just kind of just scribble and then just give it some things. And that's all I used was a pen. I didn't even use a pencil. It was just straight up pen. And I can do it, so can you. So give it a try. Might take a couple tries, but you'd be surprised what we can do with just a pen and some. And here's a close-up of the clock. Nothing but ink and a dot method. So go and try it sometimes. You might be surprised that you can draw with just straight up ink, and you don't need to have pencil to get started. Just kind of lay it out, dot it out, and just go with the messy style and have some fun. So thank you so much for joining me, noob a chance, and thank you for all my returning fools. I hope to see you on the next one. Love you all. Bye.